All right, this one will be a no-brainer. I'm not even going to stand up for it. Oh, Jesus. It's nice to be off my feet and on my ass for a little bit. So before I get started on this, the process of buying jute is a pain in the dick. In the arts and crafts section at the dollar store, it's $1.50 for 15 meters. In the hardware and garden section of the dollar store, it's $3.50 for 100 meters. When it's the same material, why does that make sense? Oh well. Anyway, this is the little decorative piece I did. Potentially, if there was a little more coverage, it could be used as a water bottle for a LARP outfit. As it stands now, it's decorative. Could be used as a costume piece, just for show. But I'm going to show you how to make a net. This one didn't work out so well. Wrong material. So we'll take this apart and we'll make a new net using 1 finger spacing rather than 2 finger spacing between the knots. And you'll see how easy and how effective net making is and how useful it can be. As an example, you could use this to make a bag, which is basically what this is. If you want a reusable shopping bag for your environmental savior or whatever. This is a very rigid string. This old school, like around the time I was born, so after the dinosaurs but before cell phones. It's a pretty rigid material. This, on the other hand, is soft. So we're going to duplicate this and make it tighter. The rest thing we need to do is roll out a length of string. Figure what the length is. Do this, do a rough length, add half that again to it, and then double it. Half that again to it to compensate for the knots, and then double it, because they're loops all tied together at the bottom. So that, give it some extra. Plus half that again. Actually, we'll double it. And then we'll double it again. And we'll do that multiple times. And we'll give it a little extra multiple times. Give it that. So, two. What? I'm going to make this easier on myself, so don't get tangled up. There's 3. Four. Yeah, I gotta stand up. 5. 6. 7, 8. 8 pieces should do it. Cut all the loops at that end. Cut all the loops at this end. There's our beginning. Eight pieces, whereas these ones are made with 6. Because there's going to be more knots, there's going to be more string. All right. I'll fold those all in half. I'll show you how to start it. Okay, all the rest of the supplies are out of the way. This bottle is less than 4 inches side to side, so the center is going to be less than 2 inches apart. So we'll put the first knots at 2 inches. I'll slide you where you can see it. Stand you where you can see it. You'll be in some position where you can see it. All right. So we want it centered. We want half for these 8 pieces. So for this, we need 2 of them. After the first knots, the measurements are going to be by finger. So there's our center. 2 inches up to 25. There. Same thing with this one. Get the ends lined up together. Pull it to find center. Once you find center, what's 2 inches up from center? There. So we need one side of each of these. Put them together. And then we just keep that distance marked and tie a knot. But we tie the knot and keep it flat. Which is kind of painful, but doable. Just keep them side by side, keep them flattened together. So that it looks nice and clean. There's one. I'll do a close-up of it. See what I mean? On the back, it's relatively flat, so it'll sit against the glass. Keep pulling it tighter as we can. And on the front, it looks like a nice clean knot. See? Keep in mind, keep your hand on the bottom. Now, we know that's the bottom. So we know it's 2 inches back to the fold. That's going to be the loop. We get the next string and do the same thing again. Add to it. Don't worry about that little damage there, that's fine. So there, holding onto the bottom of it. Line it up with the other one. Do our next knot. Repeat this until we got them all looped together, so it's all one piece. Then we start building more knots, measuring with our fingers. Almost flip that over. On the top and bottom to lay flat together. Keep it pretty. There. Now, as you can see, that measurement is still 2 inches. Right to there. I'm going to repeat that until it's a loop. Once we're a loop, I'll show you what the next step is. Alright, now that we got our loop started, all 8 pieces all laid out neatly, take another piece of string. Under, over, under, over, under, all the way around. Till you get together, draw them all tight, and then we tie a knot. Now, does not have to be anything special. It's just to draw them all in together. Over that way. Make a square knot, not a granny knot. There we are. Now we can cut off those ends, but before we do, I'm going to tie a locking knot either side of that square knot to keep it from getting loose. Does make things last a little longer. If I wanted it to be permanent, I wouldn't be using jute. Cut for excess. Now we should have a nice, evenly spaced little piece. Fit the bottom of the bottle, just inside the knots. Yep, that works. Even all the way around, sits flat. That's the base of our project. But we don't have to have the bottle in there right now. As I said, we're doing 1 finger spacing. So just start anywhere. Make sure everything's lined up the way it's supposed to be. You go from this side to this side. Take your 2 opposing pieces. These are the 2 we're tying together. From your previous knots, you measure 1 finger distance. That's where your next knot's going to go. And you just repeat that process all the way around until you're all the way at the top of the bottle. Making sure to keep everything cleaned up and flat and even and orderly, which is difficult sometimes. Strings are round, they don't want to be flat. So you gotta force it. And the next two. And it's just repeating the process over and over again. But that is how you make a net. Which is basket weaving. It's not incredibly laborious, but it is rather boring. The upside is a sense of accomplishment at the end and having a product. You know, having produced something feels good. One finger spacing from the previous knots. That's where this one goes. I'll do this. This is 2, so I'll do 6 more times after this. So you get to see it a few times. And we'll have the first layer. And put the bottle back in and check. Make sure it still fits. One finger space. That's where your knot goes. I'm going to be happy with this because long ago when I made that one, a LARPer, I don't know, was saying it would be a good water bottle if the knots were closer spaced. So I said about half that distance. He said, yeah. So I know I will have a market for this. And the cost of an empty bottle is 10 cents. I mean, that's what you can get for it as a deposit. If they don't have bottle deposit where you come from, where you live, maybe the bottles are cheaper. You know, maybe they're free. Maybe just pull them out of the garbage or recycling. These are old gin bottles, so I paid for them. Well, yeah, I paid for them. Not because of the bottles, but because of the contents. Fortunately, I can't get my particular brands of gin anymore. I have to lower myself to drinking Tanqueray, which isn't bad. Not great, but it ain't good either. Well, it's not great, but it's not bad. It does the job. Not with an exquisite amount of flavor. The downside you'll find to this is the constant tangling underneath. But believe me, you're going to like the product at the end. And even if it can't be used as a water bottle for carry for a LARP, it's still a good costume piece. Or a decorative piece. Keep those two flat, side by side, all the way up, all the way around. Something else of note that you realize, the closer together the knots are, the more of them there's going to be, so the longer it's going to take. Half the distance, twice as many knots, twice as long. So there is the 8th one, and that starts the actual bag process. Once I get this tied, I'll stick the bottle back in there and show you. All right. Now, let's flip this out, put it up, see how this bottle fits. There. I think it's going to look pretty good. Okay, I'll continue on that. I'll show you when I'm getting to the top. When I get to the top, got to tie it off like this one. I put a handle on it. Okay, how do we get that part all done? As you can see, got a bag. Put the bottle in the bag. I'm going to tie the top up and then cut the excess off. So, you need one piece of string. And this is also going to be the handle, so just make it as long as you want it to be. You can do the over-under thing again. Through the top, 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 all the way around. Wherever you started, go through that one twice. So go through the top, take two ends, tie them together. Same kind of knot over and over again. So they're all going to match. Now, pull it tight, like a drawstring. So we essentially now have a drawstring bag. We got it even. Pull all of these up a little at a time so they're at the same level. Close to the neck as you can get them. Once it's up there, tie it off with the same kind of knot. This is the difficult part. Holding it all tight while you're tying it. There. Now, however long you want that handle to be, I think just being able to put your hand through it is enough. So at that point, you tie it off and you cut off the excess. Or not, depends on if you want that extra tail hanging off of it. There. Take all these little extra bits, trim them. A little bit of waste in this process, but that's all right. And it being a rustic kind of a look to it, you don't have to be perfect when you're trimming. There we are. We now have a net bag bottle. You can use for a water bottle, for a LARP, or for a decoration, whatever. I think it looks pretty good. So there's your arts and crafts for the day. Another thing about this technique for making netting, net bags, etc., is you can use it for a dozen different things. I mean, obviously you can make fishing nets, cargo nets. You can make net shopping bags. I got older relatives, very old relatives in my youth, who would make these kind of things out of butcher's twine, butcher cord, and hang suet in it to feed the birds. I'm surprised there's a lot of people that don't even know what suet is anymore. Let's get that out of the way. But yeah, there's your new project. I don't know. What would you make it for? Let me know in the comments. So yeah, like, share, comment, and subscribe if you want to follow along and learn how to make more stuff. Talk to you next time.